Good morning YouTube, my name's Sean Connors and this is Outsiders. Hi and welcome back to the Campaign Builder Programme series that was started a little while ago. This is now a finished product that each of the players will be getting. Now there's going to be a slight variation for each character depending on what they're actually playing. So I'm not going to bore you with going over the same ground, but very quickly just to touch what's new and just recap what we've done. Every character will have a character sheet in the front, so I've got my Pathfinder character sheets in the front. Every character will have a map of Palexia. This will be a colour-coded map, except the wizard, which will get a different map, which I'll show in a minute. We have the individual hand-drawn maps and the boundaries map. So the hand-drawn map of Palexia, the boundary map of Palexia. So far that's covering old ground. We've talked about the timeline before in the Aenean Knights. That's been fleshed out. This is where it's slightly different. Hopefully it will pick up small details. This was my original hand-drawn map. I've just added a few computer pieces onto it. But I've now gone into a bit more detail because that is what Sayre Arathel looks like. So and there's a bit of history on Sayre Arathel. And if you look carefully at this sort of drawing of the dots and stuff, you'll see it matches up very well. So I'm very pleased with that. Each player will get this page here, which is sort of a drawing, a detailed drawing of Sayre Arathel, which become more important. The player that's in charge will actually receive this. So this is the same thing blown up. So that's Sayre Arathel blown up, and as you can see there's quite a lot of detail on there. There's Lord Cyrene, there's all sorts of details about the place. So that's actually blown up 100%. The character that will be playing the wizard in the group will get a more detailed map. So you've already seen that map if you've looked at the map building program, but if you haven't seen it, this is the finished article. So that's it completely finished. So there's Palexia blown up, beautiful, really pleased with it. Of course there's also the calendar in here, which is for the clerics, and the calendar itself is broken down. I'm going to again show a little bit more detail about the calendar because somebody's asked me about it, so I want to go into a little bit more detail about that. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take a sheet off. I'm going to have to be careful, I do apologise. Part of this sheet I don't want the players to see, but if you look carefully, and I'm hoping these details will be picked off, you can see the various dates on the calendar, and you can equally see symbols by the side of them. And for example, in this case you've got Lorani, which on the 2nd of the first month of the year there is a high mass, and then on the 7th, so every week later there's a high mass every 7 days for Liani. Also on the 5th they've got a lay mass, and that's repeated every 2 weeks. So in Liani's religion that's how that sort of works. There are different things because obviously as you go further into it there's different festivals, different style of masses and all sorts, but every religion is catered for. Plus this chart also contains all the new moons and the full moons of the new moons and the full moons of the world and the calendar. So that's all coming together quite nicely. Very pleased with the way that's turned out. So every player now gets that. Now taking my focus now into the beginning of the game, we already know the beginning that Sayre Arathel will be attacked. The players will be on duty at the time. The people that will be in charge of the group, i.e. whoever the Lance Corporal and Corporal are, will make the decision about where people's placements are. As you can now see with that map, that's going to be pretty critical, because if you look at the sort of drawing that there is there, and the inside, and equally as well, this has a history. So I've covered the history off in here, a few small details. There's 3 people being held in here, wanted, 3 brothers wanted for murder. That could become very important, could be an interesting storyline, particularly if Sayre Arathel is being attacked and the players are being overrun. They might need these 3 brothers to help them out, irrespective of their supposed past crimes. There's also Lord Cyrene's fortune and his pregnant wife are also held up in here. So there's a few other things to consider other than the obvious about preserving your own life. So you love that as a DM, you love that depth when you're talking about stories. So Sayre Arathel will be attacked. The players may hold it, but the bottom line is no matter what happens with Sayre Arathel, they will realise very quickly that the bridge that protects this side of the river from the town of Din has been captured. There is no reply signal, and the leader must realise, I hope, that they must counter-attack and take it back. And that's an exciting story. They're probably already going to be injured, they're already going to be carrying some wounds. They're only first level. Can they launch a counter-attack and take it back? In theory, yes, they should be able to, and it will be an exciting story. But as anybody knows in my games, I pull no punches, and it'll be interesting to see what the players' decision are. They might decide to preserve their own necks, However, the orders will be clear. It's to take that bridge at all costs, and I love the idea behind that. So anyway, let's assume the best scenario, that they're successful. They will then report in Din to Major Themlock, who will basically give them, will basically reward them in two ways. The first one is he'll tell whoever's in charge, he'll promote the person in charge and tell them to promote two others. That's his decision who, which I quite like actually, because it's no matter what people's actions are, the leader gets to decide which two are being promoted. It's going to be quite interesting to see whether there's any tension in there about that. And the next thing, they're given a set of orders to escort some dignitaries north. One of them going to be his, one of them's going to be his wife, Lord Cyreen's wife, and probably somebody from the church. And I'll probably make the somebody from the church someone. Whoever's religion is being worshipped in here will be somebody high up in that church. Will be being escorted further north. Now, in the journey north, I've already sort of planned out in my own mind that the players will be attacked. Will keep the journey exciting. They'll be attacked by something very unusual. It will be a group of Gremlocks, and if you don't know anything about Gremlocks, I suggest you read the monster manual. It's a fascinating creature, and they're working for somebody. I don't want to talk about that on this particular program, but it's a potentially exciting interlude the players may or may not follow up on. Knowing my guys, because they're ultra cautious and quite paranoid, they probably won't follow up on it. They'll be more interested in getting their dignitaries safely to the town of Parandon. At Parandon, their orders then change. They've given a letter by Themlock's wife, which they will be instructed that they will receive when they are safe. That letter tells them that they've got to go to the town of Marlin, and clear it out. Now Marlin's been overrun. And for some reason, the blood dragons haven't done what they would normally do, which is destroy probably everything. They've actually left the town fairly much intact, but left no survivors, well, as a few survivors as they could. The bigger forces then dispersed, leaving behind a fragment, a much smaller force, which seems to be holed up in various buildings. There doesn't seem to be any reason why. So this is very much more an exciting part, because this is a building-to-building clearance, and I love that. And it reminds me so much as a reverse Keep on the Borderlands. I just think it's beautiful. So that's really where my thought process is going. We know the end position, we know what we want to achieve at the very, very end. But at this part, I don't think I can plan any further, because several things might come up at this point. I see the town of Marlin as a critical piece, because it can have so much going on. It could be sewer systems down there, there can be secret cultist locations, there could be all sorts going on in Marlin, not relating to what the Blood Dragons are doing, but clearly they're there for a reason. And that again I have some thoughts on. The next campaign of building programs, once the players get to that part, I'll then start to expand a little bit more on this, and also update you about how it's actually gone. So we're pretty much set, ready to go. It's this week Friday that it begins the campaign. I think you can see from the effort gone in, and there's an awful lot that's been achieved. I hope you're enjoying the programme. I will continue to update you and continue to show you the things that I'm next working on. Obviously my next part of this project will be the town of Marlin and all the ins and outs of that, which I'm very much looking forward to. But as you can see, for anybody that's interested in campaign building, you don't need to build everything at this stage. You need to build enough that you know will keep your players going for some time. I think there's enough material already that's going to keep them going for at least 4 or 5 sessions. The town of Marlin is going to be at least a 5 to 10 session piece. So that's where we are. I hope you're enjoying it. Until the next time, happy gaming, take care, and see you then. Bye bye.